Hello and a warm welcome to the Friday Royal Ascot preview with our special guest Tanya Stevenson, who's here all week picking through all the best of the form for Royal Ascot. Now, day 4, Tanya, are you ready for it?
Oh, certainly. I am really ready for day 4. Can't wait for it. Lots to look forward to. We've got the sprinters not so much the sprinters, the really quick 3-year-olds in the Commonwealth Cup, and we will see how good the 1,000 guineas form is in the Coronation Stakes. So, yeah, definitely looking forward to it. And, of course, as always, all those tricky handicaps to try and tackle.
Oh, yeah, tricky is the word for this. All right, we'll start off with race 1, which is the Albany Stakes. Just give me a second, I'll bring it up here on the screen. Now, 2-year-old fillies over 6 furlongs. Irish trained horses have won the last 2 years, and we've a strong hand again here. We've got Fairy Godmother of Aidens. He's also got Heaven's Gate in it. There's plenty in this, to be honest with you. One of the interesting ones here I wanted to ask you about first is Mountain Breeze, which has won twice at Newmarket. I was just wondering, what are the difference between 6 furlongs in Newmarket, 6 furlongs in Ascot? I wouldn't personally know.
Well, Mountain Breeze, those 2 races that she's won have been at the Rolling Mile. So, if anything, there's a little bit of a dip that you have to tackle. And when you watch Mountain Breeze, you wouldn't have known there was a dip. She's a very professional. But also, the difference is recently is the fact that Ascot in these 2-year-old races is bigger fields, to a bigger amount of runners to take on. Mountain Breeze would have not really taken on so many rivals. So she would have had to, at the same respect, kind of made her own pace. And I mean, she will need to go that little bit faster. I don't think that's trickier for her. If you just compare it as a whole, you would have thought that, for me, Ascot's that little bit trickier and a bit more sterner examination than Newmarket, because that dip then gives you that little bit of a breather to roll down the hill. Or if you can't cope with that different bit of undulation, it's trickier. But Mountain Breeze, I think Charlie Appleby would have taken it with the fact that if you can cope with Newmarket's dip, you can cope with anything. She's passed both of her examinations with the flying colours. When you look at her, I'm a bit gutted I can't see her in the paddock, because she looks like a 3-year-old. She's huge. And to see what she's done already, I think is a bonus, and they must be really excited about her. She came out and won over 5 furlongs. And when you watch her over 5 furlongs, you watched her with about a furlong and a half to go, and you already knew race over. So you thought, well, and race over and she'll need further. Then you watched her over the 6 furlongs and you felt the same thing. She'd need that little bit further. So she's excited. She's an exciting prospect. She's one of few runners for Charlie Appleby this year. So that accentuates just how good she is. I just hope that she can show it. She's going to be the barometer for them all. However, I've got an outsider that I like in the race that maybe was an eye catcher last time, but she comes with a little bit of a caveat, a little bit of an issue. Okay. Brian Ellison trains her. It is JV. Chris Hayes gets the mount, which is fantastic. It's great to see. Now, she was really, really exciting on her debut win. And then she went to York in the Marygate Filly Stakes, a listed race. And when the stalls opened, she didn't really come out. But then she sort of gave that trait away in her first start. She missed a break on the first start. And you just put that down to being a green 2-year-old inexperienced, and she will grow out of it. Unfortunately, it was an exaggerated miss the break. No doubt they'd have worked on that. And if she comes out with the field, goodness me, she probably made up 15 lengths at she missed the break by that much at York. You'll want to watch the replay if you can. If you can't, don't worry. She comes with a real flourish. but that was within the Marygate, the ability of the horses in the Marygate. Now you've got to put her against Mountain Breeze and some other really, really classy animals. I think that she's value because she's such a big price. She's value in the fact that obviously the factor in is the factor that she could miss her break again. But even so, you'd like to think that she'd be able to finish strongly enough to get a place. And Chris Hayes aboard is another massive plus. And Brian Ellison, well, it's really exciting. Brian had a surprise winner, a huge price at Beverley at a big meeting. And I think in JV, he's got a lovely filly here.
Very interesting. Yeah. And as you say, it's an extra furlong today, so plenty more time if she does miss the break. But I like the look of her. Chris Hayes on her and everything, 50-1. Okay.
Yes.
We should. That's a great start to the day. With a little 50-1 winner in the first on Friday. We move on to the second, the Commonwealth Cup. This was always one of my favourite races. At Royal Ascot, these 3-year-olds over 6, but it looks a little bit substandard renewal in my opinion. Like you look at some of the horses who've won this in previous years and running it, like the likes of Perfect Power, Campanelle, Shaquille last year, beating Little Big Bear. Like Little Big Bear, I think, was rated 124 going into this last year. You look at there's horses in it this year, 96, Polkington, 100, 102. Doesn't look the same, does another 90 rated horse. What do you make of this one, Tanya?
I'm really excited. I'm really excited for this race. I can't tell you how much. I know what you're saying class-wise, but you have to have these races to appreciate the really good ones, or it might surprise us. And in hindsight, we might be looking back and thinking, oh, we remember when they all came into this race and such. You have elite status in this race, who I thought was going to take off at Newbury. It really caught the eye, and when you were watching the race you're thinking, goodness, this was on Locking's day, and you thought, this is shifting. And as it transpired, I think elite status actually broke the track record, so did I believe have wings. So I am excited to see elite status in the Commonwealth Cup. The form's good enough with elite status as well. Beats had behind a day in Devon, which is got into weaving form. We've got Clive Cox running Jasua, who won the July Stakes last year on Good to Firm. You may see the form figures after that were questionable, but then they were all on soft or heavy. And then first time out this season, once again, beat a day in Devon. So there's the interwoven form with just the elite status. Yeah. Inisherin won the Sandy Lane at Haydock, and I think Inisherin and elite status will be priced together, and I think elite status would just be that much quicker out of the stalls. That's obviously it. Whatever happens, elite status is going to take them along at real track record pace, whatever unravels. So you've got to keep up. I get the ratings. Love Give Me the Beat Boys. That comes with battling tenacious determination on what I've seen Give Me the Beat Boys. Now, if you want to watch a little bit of excitement and see if you're going to see a future superstar potentially, maybe Kind of Blue for James Fanshawe.
25-1.
Oh well, only had 2 starts. This is obviously everyone looking on and we've been looking on and getting really excited. Certainly on debut, Kind of Blue, we thought, oh, this is going to be a nice horse. Came through beautifully. Then at Doncaster last time out, obviously not the class of the Commonwealth Cup. This is all done on potential. James Fanshawe always obviously had this entry with Kind of Blue, out of the right family, knows the family as well. It scythed through the field at Doncaster. It scythed through 2 furlongs out. You were waiting for Danny Muscat to say, when are you going to press the button? And you smiled. You're just hoping that it was going to get the way through. He could have thread Kind of Blue through an Iver Needle. Now, obviously, that is the level. It wasn't at Group 1 level. So you're hoping to see whether Kind of Blue can step up on again. I think my head's going to say elite status, but hopefully we're going to have a big smile on our face to see Kind of Blue run on strongly. I didn't think James Fanshawe didn't have anywhere else to go other than this race with Kind of Blue. He just didn't want to disappoint himself or the horse, because this has got immense talent. We just hope that it isn't too much too soon.
Gosh, you'd think he'd be some certainty in a handicap off 90 if you're making a case for him in this one, but we shall see.
Yeah. I think that's what James Fanshawe's thinking. Let's go for the Group 1 rather than miss out in a handicap and then find ourselves rated something silly and we could never win a handicap again.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll move on to the next one, the Coronation Stakes. This is going to be one of the races of the week. Never seen the like of it. We've got the 1, 2, 3 from the Newmarket 1,000 guineas.
Yeah.
But the bookies seem to think that the Irish 1,000 guineas third will beat them all. What do you make of it? Opera Singer, there's a lot of talk here about this horse improved considerably and needed the run in the Irish version. Would you agree?
Possibly, yes. Well, I mean, wasn't a bad effort at all, was it? And it was the first run since October. It was really, really impressive. Not bad to have your first run in the Irish 1,000 guineas. However, there's going to be a lot of banter. There's going to be a lot of discussion and debate regarding this. Do you go with the 1,000 guineas or the third in the Irish 1,000? I'm going to be going with the third in the 1,000 with Ramatuelle. I think there'll be a few others doing so as well. I believe that Ramatuelle was sent for glory too soon, and then by doing so, then set itself up to be the target for El Maca and Porta Fortuna. Actually, Murphy aboard this time around, he will obviously want to sit back and not play the cards too soon, because we've seen the burst of acceleration. It was just expended too soon in the 1,000 guineas at Newmarket. The bonus here in the Coronation is you can have a breather around the bend and then just kick on, and that's just going to play into Ramatuelle's hands. I think the French have a great record in this contest, and it's just an obscene record. I think I did all the stats for it, and if you back, they only had 22 runners in the race, and they've had 22 runners in the race. They've won it 5 times. If you had a unit on every one of their runners, you would be showing a healthy level stake profit. They have won it with Banks Hill, Immortal Verse, Watch Me, Kemar, and Avedja. So I'm going with Ramatuelle.
Great stuff. Just one little one. At a big price is this Fulgaria. Went to France the last day, very soft ground, and ran down the field. But the previous run, it has a Melka, the 1,000 guineas winner, back in third, beating a couple of necks. That looks a huge price at 50s if you draw a line through the run and very soft and then notching. Yeah,
certainly. I mean, this is a danger. It's so much thinking in the present when everyone's sort of pouncing on, as I have just now, on the 1,000 and the Irish 1,000. Just concentrate on all the form, because you can always forgive a horse one race, was I have in certain other races. I said forget X because it got really badly hampered, forget Y because the ground was wrong. There's always going to be value, and I'm with you. If it's got the El Maca form, you've got to watch carefully. And it's not going to be run the same as
absolutely. No two races never are. That's the funny thing, isn't it? People on about all these sectional timings and everything else. Don't buy into that personally, I have to say. It's not about times, it's about the way they run the race, isn't it? And trying to work it out in advance how it'll be run. Yeah,
definitely. It's going to be run totally different, whereas both those races, the 1,000, the Irish 1,000, been run like a mile sprints. This will be run with a little bit more caution and a little bit more cat and mouse. So it pays to see who will be suited. There might be unlucky stories because horses will be caught up in pockets. And as it proved with the St James's Palace, that was run totally differently, and it came out with a superb winner in Rosallion.
Yeah. And of course, this is on the round course as well, whereas all those other guineas were on straight courses. So it's a completely different test, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's probably why I was feeling it would suit the French runner better, because the French runner then is not so far exposed to running, can get that breather in when they come around the turn, the lungs get filled again, and then Ashin can sort of see where everyone's positioned. He can position himself well, as will all the others, of course. But they do get that breather in, and they won't be going full pelt from the off. And the draw also sometimes is a factor. You might want to be on a higher stall than, because if you're not in, you can maneuver better if you get a higher stall number in the Coronation, or in that round course over the mile.
Yeah, great stuff. All right, we'll move on. We still have 4 more races to look at. The Duke of Edinburgh handicap, mile 4 handicap. There's an interesting Irish runner in this. Crystal Black just keeps winning. It's won 4 of its last 5. Colin Keane for his father, Ger Keane. What's interesting here is the reason this horse keeps winning, partly, is that it doesn't win very far. It just pops there on the line, and Colin Keane knows how to ride the horse. But the big question for me here is the trip. First try at 1.5 miles. Wouldn't be absolutely certain. I think it's more about the owners wanting a runner in Royal Ascot personally than it is necessarily that this race has been in mind for any other reason. What did you make of this one, Tanya?
Oh, I was looking through the field when the decks come through. I was getting all excited about Ethical Diamond, but seeing the prices for Ethical Diamond might be a little bit too short. I like going for bigger prices in handicaps. Ethical Diamond first caught my eye in the Dublin Racing Festival. That's the ideal line of form, isn't it, for coming into Ascot? I mentioned the race because Ethical Diamond was detached with 2 hurdles to go at the Dublin Racing Festival against Carguess, and caught the eye, finishing really, really strongly, reducing the deficit. So it's got that acceleration. Won nicely. Second last time out over 10 furlongs at Leopardstown, and now going up to the 1.5 mile will suit. But step aside from that, because the price is way, way short for me in these big handicaps. It may well go and win, because Willie Mullins is a genius and Ryan Moore's on board. I am going to go for the wily old genius that is Sir Mark Prescott. He's already had a winner at the meeting, and I still will never know how Sea King won at Ripon. I will never, ever know how it came out and won. It was okay, it was on soft. I think it got Paul Mulrennan. I think it surprised Paul Mulrennan how much acceleration it had that day. They were so far boxed in a pocket. I didn't know how they were going to get out. And all the while they were boxed in, the amount of ground to make up was reducing in from 2 furlongs to a furlong. And I'm thinking, this isn't going to get out. And he was able to extricate Sea King out, and somehow he showed the acceleration on 1. That was on soft, as I mentioned already. Sir Mark Prescott's already had a winner at the meeting. This horse has still got so much more improvement to give, and is a huge value price. I can see this one finishing really, really strongly. This horse has to come late, not because it needs to be held up. It's because it takes a while to sort itself out. It's like a huge ocean liner in the fact that you have to wait to work the horse out, or like a diesel car, because normally immediately the acceleration, but once you get into the acceleration, you cannot stop the horse running on. So Sea King for me, definitely value each way, and watch him coming fast and late.
Great stuff. Sir Mark Prescott, king of the handicappers. He wins a handicap the last day and he only goes up 3 pounds. No wonder they run up sequences. Anyway, we shall move on to the next one, which is the Sandringham handicap. Fillies, another massive field. What's interesting here is 3-year-old fillies in a handicap like this, you'd think you could stick a pin in it, but 6 of the last 12 favourites have won, which is astonishing for me. Another one in here that's interesting is Asian Days there, Johnny Murtagh. This was sold again on Monday for 200k at that Goff's London sale. And Johnny Murtagh, of course, had a very impressive winner of this a few years ago. Create Belief, is the name.
Yes.
Won 5.5 lengths 3 years ago in this race. Absolutely sluiced in with Ben Cohen as well. So that's one to note. Another interesting horse here is, just from my point of view, anyway, from the jumping side of it from Ireland, is Gordon Elliott has gone down towards the bottom in it. Zainab, which is a half sister to Zanahiyr, and has won twice up the Curragh in his last 2 starts. Interesting that he'd have a 3-year-old filly running in Royal Ascot. What do you make of this one, Tanya?
Well, I'm quite interested by the Royal entry in the race, who's making it's a bit of a bold statement by Mr. Haggis to have your seasonal debut in this race with a horse called Hard to Resist. The fact is that once again we're coming into a filly's handicap, and she's already been running in group races. This was last season. So she's got some really great form. She has run in a couple of Group 3s, but the form that stands out for me is when she went to Chantilly and she finished behind Tamfana. And we've seen what Tamfana's done this season. Tamfana was really run well, or unlucky in the 1,000 guineas, and then was third in the Prix de Diane. Hard to Resist then for William Haggis. Looking at here, as you mentioned, 8 favourites have won, but look at the horses that have won this race: Redivi, Boshiba, Timepiece, Duntal, Thanks Be, all horses that, well, they all are going to improve. This horse has been running on soft ground. Some people might say that it's soft ground specialist. I don't think so. I think the fact that the races that the horse has had to go for, it's had to tolerate the ground. They've had to tolerate the ground, and now back on this good to firm surface, it might just be ideal. And once again, I feel as though we're dropping down in class. Tom Marquand in board with stall 17. Tom's got to make his mind up which side he wants to go. And I think that they can also lead up here on Hard to Resist, because there's no problems whatsoever with stamina-wise either. It's already run brilliantly behind Darnation over a mile, so I'm going to go with the Royal Runner Hard to Resist.
Very good. Would you say the lack of a run is due to the fact they wanted a run here for the King?
I would say certainly so. Yeah. I would definitely say so. Although it's very tricky to find the right race. If it was such a thing that it desperately wants off, the opportunity's been there in France, and I think they just thought, we'll just wait. Or, I mean, William's very meticulous on thinking that the sort of calendar or the plan or campaign is from now through later through the season. He's got earmarked some races from later the season, and there's no point turning up out in March and April and May.
Yes, that would make sense. Yeah, this is it. It's a very long season now when you take into account America and the French stuff as well, Arc weekend and everything else. It's all geared towards the second half, isn't it? The bigger races.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
Now we move on to another one. A Group 2 this time. The King Edward VII. How long ago was he? He must have been ages ago. Anyway, I don't remember. This is for 3-year-olds, 1.5 miles again. Interesting horse here. Well, it's only interesting for just as a little aside is Voyage. Voyage actually finished ahead of City of Troy in the Derby. Passed the line in front of him, but of course he had seated his rider when he stumbled coming out of stop. What do you make of this one, Tanya?
Now everyone's got to humour me and bear with me here. I was hoping this particular horse. I backed this horse, Harper's Ferry, and he posed for the Derby after Harper's Ferry won at Windsor. Harper's Ferry then went to Chester and was withdrawn because wouldn't go into the stalls. I felt sorry for Harper's Ferry in that instance. I know people will look back and say, but the horse wouldn't go into the stalls, he was messing about. But I think sounds ludicrous. I think they persevered too long with Harper's Ferry, because he was getting more and more, it became apparent after only a few times, he was getting really, really upset, and they kept persevering. And I was just thinking, oh, bless him, take him out. He's quite a big sort. He was ridden by Saffie Osborne at Windsor when he won his maiden. It was a really good and exciting run, because he won despite himself. He kept getting everything wrong. He was sort of going for a gap that wasn't there, and then came through late. And I got excited that he was going for Chester, but not excited because I would have preferred him going for York, just to see him stretch out. We've got to come into this race and fingers tightly crossed that he will go. I think he'll go into the stalls. Chester's very tricky in the fact that you've got where you're going in the stalls, there's people everywhere, lots and lots of noise, and it just might have been a bad day for him. I think he's a massive, massive price, Harper's Ferry, and I can't see why. He's certainly going to get, I think he's got every chance of getting into the frame. He will be suited to Ascot, and he sort of, the best of him, he's got some great acceleration. And I know Tom Marquand's and him, they've got a tongue tie on as well. We've got lots of assistance to him. He was odds on when he beat Poneros, and that's run brilliantly in a handicap in the London Gold Cup, but at least the form has been franked to some extent. But I'm going to surprise everyone, and quite often here you do get a surprise. I know there's been 19 favourites out of 40 odd runners, but I mean, he could be the exception to the rule. He's going to be, I think he's going to surprise a few people, Harper's Ferry.
He's a nice looking one at the price again. Yeah, yep. Top rider in the saddle. He'll lack for nothing there anyway, whether it's getting into the stalls or coming out of them.
Yes.
Anyway, we'll move on to the last race of the day. It's absolute madness. A 5 furlong handicap with a maximum field. The Palace of Holyrood Stakes. I'll let you go through this because I actually fancy one in this, and I'm going to give it as my nap of the day.
Oh, fabulous. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Right, well, okay. Woodhay Wonder was a non-runner on Saturday in the big charity sprint race at York. And Woodhay Wonder is a superstar in the Tom Ward stable, and it just keeps improving, defying the handicapper and say, come on then, put more weight, I'm just going to keep on winning. And when they keep on winning, you just want to keep following them. Had he have run at York, I would have wanted to be on, but I understand obviously that the rain just kept falling and falling and falling, and he came out. They had obviously other options, and here we are. Here is Woodhay Wonder. They deserve their chance here. It could be a Tom Marquand day for me. Tom Marquand's on board. He's been on Woodhay Wonder its last 2 starts. I think he can defy going up in the weights again, because it just seems to me that the handicapper hasn't got to him yet. Good to firm ground suits him. I don't think it matters where he's drawn. He's one of the exceptions to the rule. You've got to be on the right side. He is the pace. And if they're either going to get to him or they're not. So it's down to the handicapper whether the handicapper's caught him. So he's going to be up there from the off, and fingers tightly crossed that it's a wonderful day for Tom Ward and all the connections, because the handicapper's chasing after him. It's whether they've caught him or not. So who do you like? Who's your nap of the day?
Okay, well, I'm going to go to my nap of the day now, and it's down towards the bottom of the field. Scorchio. There's several interesting things here. Wait till we find the horse first. Have I gone by it? Yeah, I must have gone by it. Hang on. There we are. Number 16.
Yes.
Scorchio. Jack Davison. Now, Jack Davison had 2 horses that he sold on Monday night at that Goff sale. This wasn't one of them. Didn't put this into the sale. And Scorchio, it's related to some good horses now. There's a Group 3 winner in the family as well. But what you have here with Scorchio is horse had won a couple of times on the all-weather in Dundalk. Actually, 3 times I think it won on the all-weather, or twice in the all-weather. He gave it a break then, and he ran it on the grass the last day. And he was saying that he'd felt all along this horse would be way better on the grass than it would be on the all-weather, because that's the way the family have all been. And it proved right, and I think the form is really strong. It beat a horse called Kendall Roy, and Kendall Roy has been a revelation. It's actually first reserve in the race if it happens to get in. Kendall Roy, trained by Katie McGivern, who is well related within the racing fraternity. Her mum and her dad were both jockeys and trainers, so Katie knows the time of day. But this horse, Kendall Roy, went to Windsor in start of April and broke the track record. Then it went to Thirsk a couple of weeks later and won. Then it goes and it runs against Scorchio and goes off a short price favourite against Scorchio and Cork. Scorchio hadn't got a run, hadn't run since last year, but beats it. And then Kendall Roy comes out at the Curragh the last day and wins again. So I think this is a hell of a performance, first time out this season from Scorchio to beat Kendall Roy, who has been one of the revelations of the season so far. So I think 20-1 is a fair price. Ronan Whelan in the saddle, one of the top riders over here as well. So that's my nap of the day. Scorchio each way in the last. What's your nap of the day, Tanya?
Ramatuelle in the Coronation Stakes. It's a race that has suited the French Raiders. They've only had 22 runners in the race. So they won it 5 times. And Ramatuelle, I think, was played too early in 1,000 guineas. Oisin Murphy, a different kind of configuration of the race this time around. We're going to go round a bend, whereas in the 1,000 guineas, of course, it's a straight. Oisin Murphy's got every opportunity to give Ramatuelle the ideal breather, and I don't suppose he's going to hit the front as early as Ramatuelle did in the 1,000 guineas. So I think she'll be played very late, and I'm going for another French win in the Coronation Stakes.
Great stuff. And have a euro on Tom Marquand to be leading jockey as well, because you fancy quite a few of his. Look, thanks very much for going through it all. It's been great stuff. And anyone watching, make sure to gamble responsibly if you have having a bet on them. And do subscribe to our channel, because we have more videos coming out each day and you'll get notifications of when they're out. And enjoy the rest of Royal Ascot. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.